This is the mini lesson for 5.1 on multiplying integers. So if we look in this box, we know that multiplication is really repeated addition. So if we consider the expression 3 times negative 4 as repeated addition, it means 3 groups of negative 4. So we know the answer is going to be negative 12. So you can think of 3 times negative 4 as 3 groups of negative 4, or using colored counters, we see that we get an answer here that equals 12 negatives. If you prefer the number line, 3 groups of negative 4, we start at 0, we go to negative 4, we move negative 4 3 more, and negative 4 3 more, we see that we end at negative 12. So they give some other examples. Here we have 4 groups of negative 3. So I can see 4 times I'm putting negative 3 on, and again I get an answer of negative 12. Or using the number line, I can move negative 3 4 times to end at negative 12. In this final example, this one's a little tougher. So as we know, 3 times negative 4 means 3 groups of negative 4. And we know that negative 3 can also mean the opposite of 3. So negative 3 times negative 4 means the opposite of 3 groups of negative 4. So instead of 3 groups of negative 4, if we have the opposite, we have 3 groups of positive 4, which equals 12. Using the number line, 3 groups of positive 4, again, I end at 12. So I'm going to jump to this page with the table. So right here, a description. This one means the opposite of 3 groups of 5. So instead of 3 groups of 5, I'd have 3 groups of negative 5, which I see gives me an answer of negative 15. Here I could say I have 3 groups of negative 5. So I have negative 5 3 times. And again, I see that that gives me negative 15. So here, if I do the opposite of 3 groups of negative 5. So if I'm doing the opposite of 3 groups of negative 5, then I'm doing 3 groups of positive 5, which is positive 15. Okay, let's look at it another way. I can look for patterns. So 4 times 5, 4 times 4, 4 times 3. I see each time I multiply by a smaller number, the product is going down by 4. So what pattern do I notice? I notice that the product goes down by 4. So this next one would be 4 times negative 1. If I look at the pattern, this is minus 4, minus 4, minus 4. So when I take 4 away, I would get negative 4 here. If I went 1 more, I would get negative 8, and 1 more, I'd get negative 12. Write the next 3 number sentences that extend the pattern. So here I see I have negative 5 every time. I started with positive 5, and then positive 4, and 3, 2, 1, 0. So the next one would be negative 1, and negative 2, and negative 3. So let's look for a pattern. I'm at negative 25. I go to negative 20. I just went up by 5. I went up by 5 again, and again. So think about a number line, 25. I would be way down here on a number line. To go to negative 20, I'm moving to the right, so that's adding 5 each time. Now I get to 0, So the next time when I add 5, I would get positive 5, then I'd get 10, and I'd get 15. So how do these products change as the number multiplied by negative 5 decreases? Here I see my product goes up by 5. So I basically solved this right here. I could go one more, and I would get positive 20. So to figure out these signs, if we look back at everything we've done with the two colored counters, the number line, or patterns, what is the sign of the product when the two integers are both positive? We have a positive. When they're both negative, I see right here from this pattern, when they're both negative, we get a positive. When one is positive and one is negative, I get a negative. And when one is 0, anything times 0 is 0. So you're going to continue to work through the lesson about that division is really the inverse of multiplication. So see if you can find a connection.